Hello, and welcome back to another pen talk. Thank you for tuning in, for selecting my channel, and to join me as I explore the amazing, incredible, intriguing, wide world of pens. And this may come as a surprise, but this is my first new Esterbrook. And I got this in a trade with Dean, and I traded a Pen BBS 500 in Niango for this Esterbrook Oversize Honeycomb pen. I think I got the better of the deal, but this pen is still available, still for sale. The 500 Niango probably will never be available outside of the resale market and the used market, so who's to tell? Over time, we will tell. So the mascot's joining me in this exploration because, like I said, nothing like an extra pair of eyes, two pair of eyes to help you see the pen better. We need a name for the mascot, so please offer your suggestions for the name in the comments below. It's a nice fabric-covered box, something a little different. I like the nice kind of red color. A good logo there. Established 1858. Of course, then they only made dip pen nibs in Newark, New Jersey. It's a magnetic closure on the lid, easy to open it up. You open up and you see some more phrases. You've got a nice little booklet here. Discusses the legacy, your warranty. This opens up very nicely so you can easily remove the pen. And the first thing that strikes you is it's a large pen. It feels substantial in the hand. It has really decent weight. That's nice how they engrave that logo and put some white in it, kind of like in the vintage style, but something vintage Esterbrook didn't do. Just a very cleanly designed clip. Decent tension to it. Should work in almost every situation where you want a clip. And this resin is beautiful. Of all the Esterbrooks, this is the one that really caught my attention, and I'm very pleased to be able to now have one in my hand. The cap comes off in just a hair over one turn, and we'll see a nice number 6 Jowo nib. So the Oversize can be distinguished in a number of different ways other than the fact that it's longer and bigger. There's metal threads here where the cap attaches to the barrel, and on the regular size one they're just machined acrylic. They look the same as far as shape and build and everything, but this one is just bigger. And it does fit very, very nicely in the hand. That section is just about a perfect diameter. I would like just a little bit more flare out, but there's enough there so you know when you're near the end of the section. As I mentioned, you can hold it on the threads. That step up doesn't bother me at all. So from this design, you might say, how does it post? And my comment is, it fits there, but it doesn't really post. Not something I'm going to force on. No cap band, which I think is fine aesthetically, but could be a weak point over time, but that's not something we're going to be able to evaluate in this review. So this is a standard cartridge converter pen. It comes with a cartridge, unscrews nicely. I like that rubber O-ring there, so when you tighten this down, you get that nice little feeling at the very last little bit of a turn that it tightens very nicely. You have metal on metal threads, which are nice. I'm fine with either plastic or metal. This is a upscale converter. It's branded. As you'll see later on in the video, I took this apart and I lubricated everything with silicone, so it it's going to work very, very well, and I expect it to have a long life. It fits very securely, which is good. So that's the pen. We're going to explore it, compare it to a few other ones, and we're going to see how that 1.1 stub writes. I haven't selected an ink yet, but trust me, I will find one that is suitable. Feast your eyes. Yes, I had to take the SD apart, and I find all good things. It's well made, pretty decent thickness to those walls, nice block threads, and we'll explore that a little bit more at the LED because what's inside that cap is also interesting. Here we have that metal insert into the barrel, which matches up well with this metal insert into the section. It's glued in place. Some pens don't glue them. We have that nice O-ring, so when you screw down the barrel, that last tightening just feels really well. The converter came apart relatively easily. This metal collar just unscrews. It's held on by a few threads. You know, I like the end done that way with a metal ring there to help minimize any type of distortion or wear over time, and then a nice insert that fits well into the back of this Jowo nib assembly. Nice stub nib there, which the previous owner, Dean, said worked very, very well. And as we've shown before, how these converters fit right into that nipple at the end of that nib assembly. It's just well done. Let's bring in the LED. So we mentioned that cap in there is spring-loaded. So we're going to use this bamboo skewer rod. And there it is against the cap. We need a frame of reference, so we're going to use my fingers here. And we'll see it moves, I'd say, almost 3/16 of an inch. You can hear it. So that's a very nice design. Haven't used a pen long enough to determine whether that actually seals well, but we have high expectations. I think this is an excellent resin. Of all the SDs, this is the resin that intrigued me more. You know, it has related to honey. If we look inside the cap, we'll see a nice plastic liner, and it's spring-loaded like a platinum. Hopefully we can explore that a little bit with the LED. I was able to see it before. You can see how it gets opaque there. So it's a pretty good extension, and it does move fairly well. There is some translucency, which obviously is blocked by that cap liner, but not 100%. Look at the barrel. We'll again just be impressed with this resin, the colors that are in it, and the patterns. Nice consistent pattern. And of course this is very consistent because there's nothing inside of it. It survives the LED and comes out looking good. You may ask yourself, Chris, haven't I seen that honeycomb resin in another pen? And I'll say, yes, you have. Here we have it next to the Birmingham 6th Avenue. And I'd have to say they're the same resin. Maybe just a slight variation, but that's what you'll get from batch to batch. Also in a similar vein is a Bexley All-American, but not exactly a good color match. Then for something similar, but again, not a good color match, is this Conklin Mark Twain. A lot more variety in the chips here than there are in the Honeycomb, but it is a very standard technique for poured acrylic pens to have this cracked ice finish, and I do like the ones in the amber family quite a bit. So one thing that can be said, the oversized Esterbrook is definitely a large pen. Compared to my recent large pens, it is longer. The girth is comparable. I think the Santini still edges it out in girth, but it has that weight, heft, and feel of an oversized pen, which is primarily the main attribute of an oversized pen that most people look forward to. I think we just need to take a look at it uncapped and post it. So to me, generally, an oversized pen is not one that you would post. And the Norwal doesn't post, so that's not an option. The Vizier posts relatively well, the Santini posts relatively well, and the Esterbrook, yeah, you can put the cap onto the barrel, but it's pretty loose and would come off fairly easily, so not a pen that I would post. So let's take a look at them just as the barrel, which is probably how most of you will use it. So unposted, the length is pretty much the same for all of these four pens. Each of them have a unique shape to their section, and the Vizier probably has the most curve to it and is the thinnest right at that midpoint of the curve. The Norwal has your standard where you come down and then flare out at the end. The Santini has a little bit of a curve, so it's kind of like a combination of these two designs. And the Esterbrook is pretty well straight. And it's also the shortest section, but then those threads don't interfere. There's a little bit of a step up there, but not something that bothers me. Let's zoom in on the section and nibs, because they're all pretty interesting. So the Santini is the most expensive pen in this group by a large margin, over 2x. It has an 18-karat gold nib, and this has the extra plastic bill nib in it, so that nib is unique among these. This is your standard Jowo nib, which many people really enjoy. The Vizier has its own steel nib, broad nib, 1.1 stub. And the Norwal has a really nice black nib to go with that black look of the cephalopod. So far of the writing, I've enjoyed writing with these three. Let's see how the SD stacks up. So in addition to swapping my pen BBS for the SD, Dean threw in an extra pen, which I'm very pleased with. You may recognize it as a Kaiglu 316. It's in the old style, which has a fairly amount of heft to it because there's a lot of metal bits. But this finish is just amazing. I don't have anything like it in Kaiglu or any other brand. So I just thought I would show it to you for those of you that might find it interesting. You know, I'm just blown away with all the different colors, finishes, resins, however you want to describe them, that have been made available to us. Beautiful. Well, I've spent some time with the SD, so I feel comfortable giving some editorial comments. But let's look at some dimensions. And also, I'll show the main differences, at least from the dimensions I've gotten off of the web, between the standard size and the oversize. So why is this my first SD? Well, in the beginning, when Kenro was first putting some prototypes together for their rebirth of the Esterbrook name, I tried some of them, looked at them, and I said, it's not an Esterbrook. And a lot of people have commented on that, so I'm kind of late to the game when it comes to giving my opinions, but it's the first time I've been able to hold one in my hand, and I feel that, to make an opinion valid, you need to actually touch and feel and hold something in your hand before you judge it. So my first impressions is this is an extremely well-made pen. Fit, finish, construction, engineering, design, execution, all done extremely well. So that is good. This material is excellent, as we've seen. I like the fact that the cap comes off in a little bit over one turn. Again, nice engineering design. It fits well. It feels good in the hand. You can use this for long writing sessions without any challenges. That number 6 Jowo nib, there's tons of them around. You can plop a gold one in there if you want, or if you prefer Bach or Schmidt, or you have some Nemesine number 6 nibs around. There's a lot of stuff, so that makes it very versatile. The feed works good, so that makes it kind of a universal pen. But I'm still drawn back to the fact that they've rebranded Esterbrook. So to be as objective as possible, if Esterbrook was still around, let's say that they didn't stop producing pens back in the 70s, I think it was, maybe this is the pen they would be making today. I do think they would have had a lower price point because Esterbrook was every man's pen. And at the price point of this pen, it's not every man's pen. Where is it made? Who cares? It's a question of whether you think it's a good writing instrument and whether you consider there's value in it for you. They've certainly developed quite a good following on the net, and a lot of people are very happy with their pens, and I can understand that because it's well made, looks great, feels good in the hand, has a nice universal nib. So that's going for it. I like the little design in the cap with that cap liner that's spring-loaded. So they did just so many nice little things. And there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of overhead, and that's, to me, is why the price is where it's at. There is a margin. It is a luxury item, at least in my viewpoint, and they generally have high margins. And so therefore, if we want this item, there's a certain price we have to pay. And I think for the street price, it's comparable. It's certainly not extremely overpriced, but it's certainly not a bargain either, which to me is what Esterbrook was known for back in the day. So enough editorial comment. Let's write with the pen. So what ink did I select? Well, this one. Yeah, in honor of Wasky. I sent him a squirrel for Christmas. I think it's in that color family that goes well with the finish, and I do like putting an ink in that's comparable or complementary to the pen. It's just a basic brown. I hope to get some nice shading. Chromatography shows how they created that brown, and it looks like there's some residual water resistance. Let's use that nib to put this ink on some paper. So overall, I'm very happy with the nib. There's a little bit of feedback, which I think is Jowo trait. You get some nice line variation with the 1.1 millimeter stub, and I enjoy that. It's comparable to the Bach 1.1 millimeter. I actually think it is a little bit soft. You can see it open up, and it certainly lays down a decent amount of ink. You get some really nice shading with this fox squirrel. So now we need to rate this pen. I'm going to give it a 9.3. So it gets one check for fit and finish. It gets one check for the really nice resin. But where it loses is in value. You know, if it was a $120 pen, that would be like a 9.7, 9.8. But I got to be honest about the worth, at least from my perspective. So we reached the end of this video and near the end of 2021. Thank all of you for watching. I hope this video finds you safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, enjoying putting ink on paper. Be they scribbles, be they doodles, be they amazing looking script, which you won't see from my hand. But may all you have a wondrous holiday season and an incredibly joyous and rewarding new year. We're at the end of this video, and we're going to say bye. There may be a few more videos in 2021. Depends upon my motivation. Stay tuned.